Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and here's a headline that most people within the XRP community and crypto at large found to be a bit surprising. This comes from Reuters. Ripple Labs interested in bankrupt crypto lender Celsius's assets. And I'll admit, I was a bit surprised to see this, and even after reading all the specifics, in terms of the information that's publicly available, and it's a little bit more scant than I care for, I gotta admit, I still don't know what they're looking for. I really don't know what Ripple is interested in here. There are some theories. I can tell you what I think they're not interested in would be Celsius's token, the Cell token. I'm guessing probably not that, but we can speculate a little bit about this and what it means. Before digging in, though, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, before digging into the latest news here today, I do really need to make sure that I'm properly setting the table for this one. I'm sure most of you have at least heard of the story here, but especially as a refresher, I think it's particularly interesting right now just to understand the most important specifics regarding this, certainly at a high level, so that you can see and then think through what might Ripple actually be looking for in pursuing the purchase of any part of Celsius, which is apparently a Ponzi scheme. It's bankrupt, and it's alleged to be an actual Ponzi scheme. So look at this headline. So the collapse of Celsius, this dates back to June 13th of this year. Here's a headline from CNBC. Crypto lender Celsius pauses withdrawals due to, quote, extreme market conditions, end quote. And it's interesting because the guy running the show here, Mr. Mashinsky, who is on your screen right there, Alex Mashinsky, he's the CEO, just hours before Celsius announced that they were going to not allow withdrawals or any sort of transfers on the platform of any kind, he was calling out allegations of financial insolvency of the Celsius platform as FUD. He just hours before this happened, he was lining up a storm, it looks like, right? There's no way he couldn't know. I mean, the degree to which you'd have to be incompetent as the CEO to not know that hours later you would be necessary to indicate that you're insolvent to the point where you can't allow withdrawals. Like, what even is that, right? So anyway, check this out. Celsius, and this is again from June 13th, Celsius, a controversial cryptocurrency lending platform, said Monday it was pausing all withdrawals, causing more pain in the fragile crypto market. Celsius is one of the largest players in the nascent crypto lending space, with more than $8 billion lent out to clients and almost $12 billion in assets under management as of May. The group, which offers users higher than average interest rates on their deposits, I said it weird like that for a reason, that should be a red flag, is essentially the crypto equivalent of a bank, but without the strict insurance requirements faced by traditional lenders. And you can see Alex Mashinsky wearing a t-shirt at an event with the Celsius logo, and it reads as follows: banks are not your friends. And so, although he never liked, as far as I've seen anyway, calling Celsius a bank, effectively what they were doing was bank activities. So what you do is you transfer your cryptocurrency to them. They promised outrageously high, in some cases at least, outrageously high interest rates, upwards of 19% in some instances, which, come on, you have to know that's a red flag and not sustainable, right? And so what you're doing is you're handing over your crypto, so they've got the keys to your crypto, but what did they actually do with their crypto? Were they creating actual economic value? Were they providing a valuable service or some sort of product, anything like that whatsoever? No, they weren't. What they were doing is taking your crypto and then lending your crypto out to people who would pay an even higher interest rate. And what they were doing is making even riskier bets. In fact, here, before even reading further, check out this headline too. I'm not going to read the story. I just want to read the headline. This is from The Block. Crypto lender Celsius loaned $75 million to Three Arrows Capital. Now, you may well know at this point as well, Three Arrows Capital also went bankrupt. And that's really what set it off, was what happened with Three Arrows Capital. All sorts of firms lent out crypto funds worth insane amounts of money to 3 Arrows Capital. And here you can see Celsius, $75 million. So this is just one example, right? And then these people, they weren't creating anything or providing actual services for people. They were just taking it, making risky bets. And then what happens once the highly volatile world of crypto hits a downward spiral, which inevitably was going to happen. Things are cyclical here. We've seen this so many times over the last 13 years or so that Bitcoin's been around. You should have known that was going to happen. We did know that was going to happen. We just don't, even if you don't know exactly when. Of course that was going to freaking happen, right? So all of this was lent out. All of this was lent out. And you gave your keys to them and you're earning high interest rates, except when they become insolvent because so many people cash out and they don't have the funds to cover it, you actually can't get your crypto back out. Why? Because they lent your crypto out to other firms. You can't get it out when too many people, they had a certain amount in reserve, and then when too many people are demanding to get their crypto back, they don't have enough to give out, so they stop withdrawals because they literally don't have it. They literally don't have it. And so here was the quote. Due to extreme market conditions, today we are announcing that Celsius is pausing all withdrawals, swap, and transfers between accounts, the company said in a memo to clients on Monday. The move has raised concerns about Celsius's solvency. The firm has seen the value of its assets more than halve since October, when it handled $26 billion in client funds. Celsius's Cell token has also erased 97% of its value in the same time frame. 97% down, their token. Celsius is the biggest holder of Cell, a token. It encourages people to buy and earn rewards and get discounts on lending rates. Yes, you can actually, or when Celsius was a thing, you could actually earn higher interest by receiving higher payments by receiving the Cell token instead of funds in any sort of other payment form. Basically, that's what it was. And so less than a month later, you got this headline from CNBC: embattled crypto lender Celsius is a fraud and a Ponzi scheme, lawsuit alleges. And so what's Ripple looking for in this? And again, this is the headline from today. Ripple Labs interested in bankrupt crypto lender Celsius's assets. The piece reads as follows. San Francisco-based blockchain payments company Ripple Labs, Inc., which is embroiled in a high-profile battle with the U.S. securities regulator, is interested in potentially purchasing assets of bankrupt crypto lender Celsius Network, according to a company spokesperson. And here's a quote. We are interested in learning about Celsius and its assets and whether any could be relevant to our business, end quote. The spokesperson said, declining to say if Ripple was interested in acquiring Celsius outright. So look, as far as whether or not this is a bailout of some kind, I don't see an actual indication necessarily of that. Could they literally be buying everything? Yeah, they could. They technically could. But it looks like they're interested in potentially buying part, if not all, of the company. But it's not a guarantee that they're actually even going to purchase anything. It looks like they're actually just looking into this, just kind of curious, poking around. Like they're at an estate sale because Celsius is dead. Piece continues. Ripple has continued to grow through the crypto market turmoil and, quote, is actively looking for merger and acquisition opportunities to strategically scale the company, end quote, the spokesperson said. So I'll tell you what I don't think they're interested in. They're probably not interested in the Cell token itself. Let's just go ahead and say that. I don't think they're interested in the Cell token holdings of Celsius. I mean, they already hold one security, right? XRP, it's a security, right? I'm kidding, obviously. But they want to hold another security, the Cell token. I'm going to guess that they don't want to hold that. So that's probably not the reason. Anyway, and then to wrap up the article they wrote, last week, lawyers from Ripple submitted filings to the bankruptcy court seeking to be represented in the proceedings. The court approved the filing earlier this week. Ripple is not among Celsius's major creditors, Celsius's bankruptcy filings show. Ripple provided the comment in response to Reuters' queries regarding the court filing. So that just means that Ripple didn't lend them out, at a minimum, any sort of notable amount of money. They're not listed as a major creditor. I don't know if that means that they're to any degree a creditor. I'd actually be surprised if they are to any degree a creditor. I don't think that they probably owe Ripple any money, but I don't know that for sure. But still, it looks. That's why I was saying, like, especially the way they wrapped up the article. To me, it looks like they're just poking around. Just seeing what's in there. Is there anything that we might be able to use? And it's okay to speculate. In fact, Take a look at this from Wrath of Kahneman, who is an XRP community member, posts all sorts of thoughtful, insightful threads all up on the Twitters. I always enjoy reading what Wrath of Kahneman has to say. And he was kind of wondering the same things here. And not that he has questions, but these are the right questions to be asking here. And he wrote, in response to the question of, like, what is Ripple doing here in poking around in Celsius's back room here? And he says, why? What assets does Celsius have that Ripple would use? What is the particular angle? Licensing? Loans? Surely it's not the token. Yeah, no, it can't be the token. It cannot be the token, I'm telling you. And then he says, APIs, question mark. I know they source liquidity for alternative assets, something Ripple does as well. I'd like to learn more about potential implications. Yeah, so look, I don't have the answer. It's not publicly known. And maybe Ripple doesn't even know if there's something in there that's just, maybe it's just a pure curiosity and they're not even confident that there's anything they even might find interesting. But we don't know that either. So in terms of what Ripple's offering, so Ripple does have their liquidity hub, which is basically like Kayak or Google Flights. And all that they're doing is they're pairing up people who participate within the market. So, you can think in terms of a platform. There's all sorts of platforms like this, like Kayak or whatever, pick your type of platform where, it could be Priceline, same type of thing where they're just basically collecting a bunch of information in terms of rates from various companies. Then you can go to that one spot and see competitive bids effectively, and you can source liquidity that way. So it begs the question, is Wrath of Kahneman on something here? Is it something as simple as maybe they're looking for APIs and ways to plug in terms of, like, for their liquidity hub? It could be something like that. Because, and to be clear, it's not that Ripple's offering the liquidity again. It's just that they're pairing market participants up for that particular purpose. Really makes me wonder. And also, apparently Crypto Eddie is Nostradamus a little bit here. There was a tweet on June 21st. So this was after the S word hit the fan and Celsius was obviously in serious trouble. There were rumors going around. I remember talking about it at the time that there could be a potential bailout. And so somebody wrote there on Twitter, there are some rumors circulating in the market about a possible Celsius bailout. And my fellow XRP YouTuber, and credit where it's due, was speculating a little bit on this, which is always a fun thing to do. And you can see, I'm not going to read the tweets on your screen if you want to actually read it, but part of what she speculated was that it could be Ripple along with some quote-unquote friends like SBI or others who could come in and potentially offer the bailout. And so then just this afternoon, she wrote that she's still sticking to her June guess. So even if it's not necessarily a bailout, I mean, is Ripple going to assume all of the debt and this or that? Because, I mean, I think it would have to look like, if it's an actual bailout, one would assume it would be taking on all of that. If it's Celsius is dead, they're bankrupt, and that's it, and they're not coming back, then pieces of the company can be sold off. And then people who are owed money, they may get a certain percentage back as a result of stuff like that. So if it really is just that assets are being purchased, it could be a little bit different than a bailout. But it is interesting to see here that my fellow XRP YouTuber Crypto Eddie was speculating a bit that, hey, Ripple could actually, in some capacity, might make sense for him to be involved with this. And to some degree, they now are. We'll see if they actually buy anything or if it's an actual bailout. I'm really skeptical about the technical definition in terms of bailout, but in terms of if they're buying, like, even just this or that in terms of particular assets from Celsius, that's certainly believable. That seems very believable to me. And if a bailout happens, fine. Maybe it does. I'm not convinced at this point. But yeah, in terms of assets, that could make a ton of sense. So I just thought it was kind of cool that Crypto Eddie, she was the first one that I'm aware of that said that Ripple might have anything to do with this. And I just thought it was kind of neat. So I thought I'd give a shout out and credit where due here. But all good things in time. We're going to find out exactly if anything comes of this. Like, certainly that's going to be newsworthy. It just happens to be the case that Reuters looks like they were just tracking continually what's happening in terms of the bankruptcy happenings with Celsius, and then they noted that, well, that's interesting. Ripple's looking to get some information on this, and then they just dug a little bit further. So we'll see. If anybody else knows anything that I've not yet read, I searched all over the Webernets, found everything that I could for this video. That's pretty much it at this point, honestly. But it really does beg the question: is there something specific they're looking for, or are they just kind of curious and they're not even convinced they might find something? They're just kind of poking around because why not? I don't know. If anybody has any perspective on this or information that I'm missing, please let me know. I don't pretend to ever know everything, and it's always fun to work as a community to share bits and pieces. I like to share everything I know, but since I'm not a know-it-all, I love to learn from everybody listening out there willing to contribute as well. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.